So, Piotr, how do you think we should do the questions the best? Do you want to perhaps, if people, maybe if you select, if people, so that you can order it, is that all right?
Sure, I can do it. I think it's best if maybe people put up the hands. Anyway, maybe I just let people unmute themselves right now. And so, I think it's best if people ask directly through the microphone.
Okay. I see the hand icon. Oh, that's my hand icon on the screen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Very good. Agata, please.
Hi, Viveka. It's very nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yes, thank you. You're here with us. And I have a question about seclusion, because there is a very difficult thing to work, and sometimes work is very engaging. And I like to take care more about seclusion at home. So I don't mean to go to a retreat, but I like to have more retreat at home during my everyday life. So every day I like to have a retreat at home. So what to do to take care more about it?
Sure. You can have a secluded mind state anywhere and at any time. So one of the things I use, so I'll do this in parts. So we'll go from, if you actually want some seclusion, let's say you're in the middle of something. So what I do is I create a bubble around myself, like a literal bubble. So it's a little boundary, and it's sort of like, the image that the Buddha gives is of an island, right? But when you're in amongst everything, I use a bubble because that keeps things out, right? So it's like I'm encased in my own little space, and it's remarkably effective. You can get very good at using this. You just put up the bubble, okay? And it's a magic bubble, right? It only lets the nice things in or no things in. So you can set the filter on the bubble how you like. Okay, this is a very empowering thing. Otherwise, at home, again, it's about how you perceive things. So where I live, you have to cross a bridge over a river to get to my place, right? And there's a gate. And so as soon as I cross the river, I've left the world behind, right? So you can have a doorway in your house that when you pass through that doorway, the outside world is left behind. So you can make it a doorway, your front door. You can make it a doorway to a room that you use for meditation, or your bedroom, or whatever you want. So you just use these little tricks to help you have a boundary, because that's what seclusion is. It's a boundary between yourself and the world. It's a way of leaving the world behind. And if you don't have these, what happens, and even in meditation, is the world comes with you everywhere. So you need to find a way to actually leave the world behind, right? So it's mostly about how you do that in your mind. It helps if people aren't tugging at you and yelling at you and because it's hard to cut that level of attention or contact off. But so there's just a couple of little tips. Does that work for you?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes. Yes,
Good.
Thank you.
Enjoy the bubble.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Beata.
Yes. Oh, sorry. It's just I just want to ask, how do you manage, Viveka, with let's say gigantic pain during the life, or else during the meditation. I'm not sure. I try to not think about the pain, but it's not easy if the pain is extremely bad. So I try to extend myself and be somewhere else, but the pain is still unbelievable. So maybe you have any advice for me? And also during the meditation, everything went well, but in a while the pain came and I couldn't make my mind free. So maybe you have some advice for me. Thank you and sadhu.
Yes. So for me, the trick is, and I've had periods of illness and pain, so I've had to learn techniques to deal with it. So I feel for you. I know what it's like. And when the pain is so intense, you can't escape it because it's like the contact is so strong that you can't ignore it. So you need a different technique rather than ignoring it. And there are many techniques. So it's about going into the pain. Sorry, I'm looking at your picture there, and I realize that I should look into the camera, but I'm looking at you, so that's why my eyes are going in different directions.
No problem.
So you need to. Pain is just pain. So the main thing is not to view it as some kind of punishment or that you've done something bad and why me. It's just because we have a body, right? So that frees up all of the psychological pain. And now you only have to deal with the physical pain. And it is about perception and how we perceive things. So you don't perceive pain as the enemy. You just perceive it as a natural phenomenon that is occurring in your pain receptors. Okay? It's a natural phenomenon. And what you can do is you can go into the pain and really explore the pain. And incredible things can happen to your perception when you actually go into the pain and you start to explore it, like where is it? What does it exactly feel like? So it becomes more, you're more detached. You're suddenly looking at the pain in a different way. So it's not like, oh, it's more like, oh, this bit is here and it radiates down there and this happens. And then one of the things I used to use is I used to take the pain once you've figured out exactly where it is, and I'd spread it out, because when the pain is more excruciating when it's concentrated in one spot. But if you spread it out over your entire body, and I'm talking about every bit of your body and every hair, the pain becomes thin. Right, so it's not as intense. You're taking the load of the pain, you're spreading the pain everywhere. And then you can even let that pain seep into the sheets on your bed, right? And go down the bed and cover the floor and the walls and outside. And it gets thinner and thinner and thinner and into the air, and so you can spread the load of the pain across the universe, if you like, right? So this is one little technique that you can use. There are many techniques. Does that sound any? Yeah, that's okay.
It's perfect, because I've never heard about this technique. I heard about many others, like recently with Ajahn Sujata. He said just I have to say pain, accepted, but it didn't work for me this time. It usually does, but not this time. But that's what you say. It's very interesting. So I wish I will do it. And even if you talk about it, it's much, much better. because I went through this process with you, like, so the pain had a color, for example, at the moment, kind of black color, and it went out of my bed from my belly. So thank you very much. It was amazing technique. If there is one more, I will be appreciated. If no, it's okay. Thank you so much, Viveka.
There's many techniques, right? There's many ways to deal with it. Another one that can be very spiritually uplifting, I find, is that it's actually an adaptation of a Tonglen practice, which comes from Tibetan Buddhism, but it's a practice that I find has nice ramifications. And it's an adaptation, but I've found that it can be uplifting. So it's nice to have a few techniques in your pocket to see which one works, because they don't always work all the time. So this one is about enduring the pain. And it's like, I endure this pain. Let me take on this pain and endure it. And by enduring it, let that be lessening the suffering in the world. Right? It's like, by my endurance of this pain, I wish less pain for other beings in the world. Right? Does that make sense to you, the words that I'm using, or is it confusing?
No, actually, the enduring, it's a little bit confusing for me. I don't know how to.
Okay, enduring means that you accept it and you take it on and you say, I will bear this pain, this terrible pain, and by my ability to accept it and take it, let that lessen the suffering. So there's less suffering from others. So I will take the suffering. I'm having the suffering, and by my braveness, my courage, my endurance, let that lessen the suffering for others. It's a bit of if that doesn't resonate for you, that's fine. It's just another practice. That's all.
Thank you very much for all your help. Bye. Thank you.
All the best to you. And you know, pain is temporary. You know, it may last for a long time, but it will end. And it's not your enemy. And it's not punishing you.
Yes, I understand.
You can also use this to reflect on the body, you know, so that it can also give you impetus to spend time in the mind, because pain is a part of being human and being reborn in the human realm with a human body. So this helps us understand the first noble truth, that existence in this realm is suffering, because that's what bodies do.
Yes. Yes, I fully understand it. Thank you. Sadhu.
All the best.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, if anyone else have a question, don't hesitate.
You can ask all kinds of things. Whatever you like. All the questions you've secretly wanted to ask but never felt the ability, go for it. If I can answer, I'll try.
Okay, maybe I may try. I thought about what ego is and how to deal with it as a Buddhist.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful question. I love talking about non-self. So this goes to the depths of anatta, which is not self in the Buddha's terms. And basically, in a nutshell, so I'll start with a summary at the end. This is the cause of suffering, right? Because it's because of a sense of self, ego. So sense of self in Buddhism is a little bit different to psychology. In psychology, like Freudian psychology, you've got the ego, the superego, and the id, But in Buddhism, ego is basically sense of self. And if you have a sense of self, then you have a sense of me and mine and I am. And these are the things that give rise to craving, right? Because I want, or I want to be this kind of person, or I want that thing. And what happens then is that you crave it and you go for it. And if you can't get it, that causes suffering. So, if you want a particular job or you've got a particular identity that you cling to and someone challenges that, you have suffering. And then from that comes either you take it inside and you get depressed, or you blame the external, right? And then this starts to give rise to ill will, which is a defilement, okay, which leads to conflict, which leads to, this is the whole trap of samsara. And because you believe that there is a self, and that you're in charge and that you have free will and you should be able to get what you want, you're constantly striving to find the conditions that will give you what you want. So Buddhism actually says that this is all a delusion, right? And so we can see sense of self is the cause of craving. And craving is what leads to all of the defilements. You become like a hamster in a hamster wheel. A hamster that runs around the little wheel, chasing all the time. But the Buddha says that it's impossible. You can feel good some of the time, but conditions are basically out of our control. And therefore, to think that you can control them so that you can always have positive feelings or happy feelings is delusion. It's ignorance. And by realizing that everything is dependently arisen, so things arise due to a cause, you're able to step back. Okay, and so the Buddha divided our personal existence into 5 khandhas, right? So there's form, the body, feeling, perception, sankharas, that's will and fabrications, and consciousness, and described how they actually operate. And so by observing things with mindfulness, you can divide it into those components, and you actually see that based on external contact. So, right, I'm having a sip of coffee. So there's the taste, and there's the contact and, the will. So you can divide it into the component parts, and you actually see that there is no whole self, right? It's just component parts that arise and cease based on contact. And when you can see that very well, you realize that there can't be an overarching self, that it's just a conglomerate, an aggregate of processes that occur based on contact, and that there is no self. And once there is no self, there is no craving and no defilements.
Sounds good, but not easy. But it is the same
not
if
easy.
I don't want?
Yes, because there's the I don't want. Mm-hmm. Yep, so it's the I want or I don't want. It's the same thing. So it's either you're going towards or you're going away from. Mm-hmm. And that provides the momentum. So you know that it's about craving because there's momentum, right? Mm-hmm. There's that movement towards or away from. And the whole of life is the movement towards and the movement away from. And if you're unaware of how conditions cause you to move towards and move away from, you remain a slave and trapped, right? And it's basically the defilements that provide that, right? So you're always seeking to be happy, basically.
Yeah. And after a whole
That's
week,
the paradox.
yes, at work, I feel like a overwhelmed slave.
Yes. The end of the path is when you can let go of feelings. You realize that this feeling is not me, it's not mine, it's dependently arisen. And the tricky thing is that it's easy for us to think that about bad feelings, but it's very hard to think that about good feelings. But ultimately, it's all feelings. So when you feel the bad feeling, you just say, oh, well, it's just a bad feeling, it's nothing. And you just let it go. So you're not craving to get rid of it. And that's the paradox, because by seeing it as it is, you just let it go and then it's gone and you feel better. But if you crave to feel better and you push it away, that's just more craving. So it's a very tricky, subtle little thing. That's why the path is so hard.
Exactly. So once a day.
Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. Once a day, I hope it will be clear as clear as air. For example.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
If you want to, and if you want to search, it's you need to look at all of the suttas and things that talk about not clinging. Okay, so it's not clinging to the aggregates, which is the secret to this. But of course, that's a long way into practice before you get to that. But that's the key.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Okay, next question. If someone have, then please go on.
I don't really like to meditate in groups because when it's going deep, I can feel the energy of other people, and sometimes after the meditation, I feel that too. And this time I quit the meditation before too because I saw a red energy next to me, and I don't know how to handle with it because I wanna meditate in group and be social, but it's hard for me sometimes.
All right, the last sentence is what makes it difficult, because I prefer to meditate by myself as well, because I don't like to have time limits, and I like to be able to let it go where it wants to go, and I just feel freer meditating in seclusion. But I don't have a desire to meditate in groups, so it's not a problem. But if you want to meditate in a group, then it's different. So you need to find a way to alter your perception so that the things that you perceive don't disturb you. So you need to convert it from an unpleasant feeling to a positive feeling. I've just lost you. There you are. It's because the pictures change on the screen. So one of the ways, so it depends what energies you're feeling. If you're feeling it may help to generate compassion for others, right? So if you're feeling some kind of agitation from others or negative energy, or somebody struggling with something, they're really trying hard not for that to happen, and they're basically trapped in their minds, and their minds are tormenting them. So in some ways, it's like if you've got good, strong, positive, calm energy, you can try radiating that out, but without focusing too much on individuals, but just, like a force field. You have a force field of metta and compassion that goes out, and in a way, that's like a reverse bubble. You can try the bubble to stop things coming in, but you can also have a force field which pushes out the positive, you know, and keeps that at bay. And it may even help others, you know, because often you can feel, if you can feel others, others may be able to feel you, and that radiation of metta and kindness. There's that beautiful line in the Metta Sutta, which talks about radiating kindness over the entire world. You know, you can be like the little furnace of metta, the generator of metta or compassion or mudita, right in the middle, radiating it outwards and contributing to the overall positive energy.
Yes,
do you think that might help?
Yeah, I will try it for sure. Thank you very much.
Look, and that's it. You just have to try different things. You know, there's no right or wrong. You have to find what works for you. And if one thing doesn't work, try another. It's all a wonderful experiment, you know, and we just go through trying them and developing our skills and our abilities. And I think of it as a big toolbox, you know, or a smorgasbord in order to, you've got many techniques to try in different situations. So feel free, feel empowered, be creative.
Okay, thank you very much. Wish you all well.
Good luck.
Good luck.
You too, good luck.
Okay, now I have a proposition that if someone who has not asked question yet want to ask it now, then please go on. And if for some like few whiles no one will ask a question, then people who wants to ask question again, like Agata, can have their second question. So anyone else first? Okay, so Agata, please have your second question.
So I don't understand how to get the balance between letting go and understanding my craving. So I try to understand why I'm suffering, but sometimes I'm wondering if it matters to investigate too much, because I'm asking questions, and sometimes it is the barrier to let go, actually. So is it possible to give some general advice how to get the balance between letting go and investigation of craving?
Yeah. This is, in my opinion, just about the hardest thing on the path to get that balance right. And that's, you know, the Buddha talks about the middle way, you know, between basically too much striving and too much slackness. Now, the ultimate letting go is you let go due to wisdom, right? So you actually know why you're letting go, so there can be no further desire arising. So that's the need for right view and understanding how craving arises, because that way it can't come up again. If you just let things go as they come up, that's great and that works and that's good, but it means that there might be a circumstance in which it can arise and you won't realize. So you want to be attained to view as well as being able to let go. And I was just reading a really nice sutta about that, and maybe at some stage we can do it, but it's ultimately the letting go is when you can upadana kanda, so letting go of the aggregates. So you actually don't just let go of situations and say that situation doesn't bother me or that situation doesn't bother me and let it go. But you understand that form isn't worth holding on to, and you let go of form. You understand that feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling is dependently arisen, unsatisfactory, impermanent, and not self. So you let go all feeling, right? You let go of perception because of the same reason. You let go of will and formations and papancha, views, because you realize they're unsatisfactory, impermanent, and not self. And then you let go of consciousness as well. And that's the real letting go. That's when you actually let go all of the khandhas and you're free from becoming. So that's the end of rebirth, right? So you have degrees of letting go. And the insights are so that you can let go of the khandhas at the deepest level, when the Buddha talks about cutting it off like a palm stump, so it can never re-arise. And that comes through wisdom. So all the letting go you do is good, but getting the view right is also necessary. So it depends where you're at with your practice, So, and in terms of enlightenment factors, okay, so, at Sotapanna, you have enough right view and you can do those different things. But all the way through, even to Anagami, right, at that point still you need to do the letting go of all of the khandhas. Okay, so you've gotten rid of the defilements, you understand craving and everything else. But at that point, the thing that leads to freedom is being able to let go of form, feeling, perception, sankharas, and consciousness. And so that's the ultimate letting go. Is that enough?
Yeah, yes. So could I firstly observe how I react and then try to let go how I react through khandhas, right?
I think what we try to do is, by observing, we see the three characteristics. We see the dukkha, right, the unsatisfactoriness, the impermanent nature, that it's constantly changing and not in our control. And then because you see those things, you realize it can't be self. So that's how the letting go comes. So the letting go isn't so much of a I don't care or it doesn't matter to me. It's more about seeing the problem with it, right? And so you become disenchanted. You can feel disgust, right? Nibbida, right? It's like, I don't want to I don't want feelings to come and go like this. I don't want to be like a ping pong ball that's getting tossed around by reacting to different things in different ways. And that's what you let go of, rather than letting go of, it's quite a nuanced thing, and I'm not sure if I've made it clear enough to you. Is it clear enough, or do I need to rephrase it in another way?
I think you said it clearly, but I don't think I understand it. But I think I have to practice. I will try what you did, so thank you very much. And I think I have to practice, and then I will understand, I guess.
Excellent. And the way to practice this is, whatever you are observing, you do it through the lenses, right, of yoniso manasikara. And that's a specific type of attention. And that's going to the root or the cause. So you pay attention in a way that's like dependent arising. You pay attention to see how this has arisen and how it changes and how it ceases. So that's the way that you observe. That's the filter you put on your observation. So it's not bare awareness, it's not just observing it, but it's actually going back to the root cause of it. And as you observe like that, that builds the evidence base, and you're reconditioning yourself and moving further along the path.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
All right, next question. Either if you want to ask first question or second question, just please go on.
I think that what you said in the beginning this time, is this connected with developing equanimity?
Yes.
And how could you please explain how to develop equanimity? Because I read about metta, mudita, karuna, something else also, but equanimity is not as clear that maybe you may some other things to say.
Yep, sure. Now, equanimity doesn't have either pleasant or unpleasant feeling. So the feeling tone is neutral. And equanimity, I've come to see equanimity not so much as the letting go and I don't care and I'm indifferent, but more understanding the really big picture of things. You know, so the ultimate equanimity is when you can see existence and you see that everything has to be the way that it is, all of the good and all of the bad, and these things just arise and pass away, and you're not swayed by it. You can observe it in a detached way, without judgment and without anything else, accepting it all for what it is. And sometimes I think of this as perspective. So when you're looking at something up close, all of your attention is on the details. But if you move the perspective up, you know, you get a bigger picture, you know, so it's like if someone says something bad to you today and something good to you today, those things are in your mind. If you look at it over the space of a week, okay, so that's happened, you know, 7 good things, 7 bad things. So you're starting to see the pattern. If you go to a year, it becomes more distinct and the details don't agitate you as much. It's just like good things happen, bad things happen. If you go to a lifetime perspective, okay, it's even more diffuse. Okay, and you're starting to get equanimity because you're not attaching to the details. You're looking at it more as the overall pattern from a position of acceptance. And sometimes when things are really bad, you know, like when I'm thinking about climate change and all the rest of it, I move my perspective to the outermost part of the galaxy to look down with cosmic time. Right, to actually see the overall pattern of the world arising and the world ceasing and things going on. And that enables me to be equanimous in the face of even these very big challenges. And I think ultimately equanimity is seeing all, accepting all, being unmoved by all. It's a very profound and beautiful thing. And you go step by step.
It's much easier to look at other people and think, "Oh, you should be more equanimous, and you should be more. You should have more metta." But we don't see our defilements. So.
True. Okay. Very true.
Thank you.
My total pleasure. It's a beautiful thing, equanimity. But it's not easy. That's why it's also the 4th Brahma Vihara and it's right up there at the end, and it only comes, late in the jhanas as well. So it's not an easy thing, but it's a good aspiration.
Okay, sadhu sadhu. So Martina, please ask your question.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. I have a question about anicca. Because if everything is anicca, so the Dhamma also has to be anicca. And I read the explanation of this, that the Dhamma is like a raft for the next shore you get. So the next shore is Nibbana. So Dhamma disappears because you're not already there. So in this way, I understand how Dhamma can be anicca, but I was wondering also if there is another option for Dhamma to be anicca. Is it like changing for us for livings, or it's not anicca in that way? I don't know if you understand me.
I think I've got an idea. Yep. Great question. Really nice question. So it also depends on how you define Dhamma. So if you define Dhamma as the body of teachings of the Buddha, it's easy to see how they're anicca, right? Because that's just a set of teachings. It's also the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Buddha says that the Noble Eightfold Path is conditioned. It's a constructed thing. And everything that is constructed or conditioned is subject to change and subject to ceasing. So, but the bit of the Dhamma that isn't subject to change, that isn't conditioned, that isn't anicca, are the fundamental laws. So this is the law of dependent arising, right? The law of conditionality. When this, then this. So this is a universal law that never changes, okay? The way, and we know that there have been multiple Buddhas, and there'll be other Buddhas, and there was Pacceka Buddhas. They all see this unchanging law, but they may construct a set of teachings that vary, okay? So the Dhamma as the teachings, the way that the Noble Eightfold Path is structured, may alter because it's a raft. So there's the simile where the Buddha says that when you come to the river and you want to cross over and there's no boat and there's no bridge, you build a raft. And you build the raft from whatever is around, okay? So if you like, the underlying law that doesn't change is the fact that you need a raft to cross over. But how you build the raft and the structure of the raft and everything else can vary and change, and, new ones can arise. You can build rafts, and he says you take whatever's around. So you can use leaves and twigs and, whatever you can find to make that raft, and then using your hands and feet, you paddle across. So the raft is anicca, but the fact that there's a crossing of the flood is not anicca, right? That you need some kind of raft. So it's those, really the only thing that is unchanging is like the law of dependent arising. Okay? And that then means that it's like the only thing that is permanent is the law of impermanence. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't know if I understood you correctly. So if, when the next Buddha arises, you meant that some constructs of Dhamma may be different? Like they will be
Yes.
teaching in different ways. Did you mean that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's like there's this sutta where and I can't remember who was asking, Sariputta or Ananda of the Buddha, he said, why in the dispensation of previous Buddhas did it not last for a long time? And he said, because they didn't explain things in this way, or they didn't put forward the Noble Eightfold Path in that way. So they presented the Dhamma in different ways. So, and look, I give a simile, like it's like, if you eat a peach, you know, and you have 10 people who all eat a peach, everyone experiences it, okay? So they're getting the same flavour. I describe it in different ways. So it's possible that you have 10 people who describe the same thing in 10 different ways. And, you know, if you've had a peach yourself, you can actually recognise the descriptions of the other people, even though they might be different to your description, because you know it goes to a common experience, right? So it's the same thing. When you see not self, when you see how mind functions and how existence is constructed, that's the knowledge. How the words that are used to describe it can vary, but the knowledge is the same thing. So the knowledge and vision and the liberation is the same thing, but the words and the language and the conceptual constructs may vary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Cool thing. And that's why it's so important. And the Buddha said, don't just believe what you're told by some guru, you know, or what you read or anything else. You have to verify it with your own experience. So we use the Buddha's instructions to actually see these things for ourselves. And it's required for liberation to actually experience it for yourself. Otherwise, it's all intellectual. You're just working on the intellectual constructs. So that's what samadhi is about, because you go beyond and beneath the intellectual constructs to actually have that experience and to see it in a non-linguistic way. It's way beyond language. And then you have that experience, and that's what it's about. So the whole path is to lead you up to the ability to experience it for yourself, right? So awakening is an experience you must have in order to be able to let go of the khandhas in the deepest way, because you see them then truly for the first time exactly as they are, right? Until that point, everything is a theory, everything is an intellectual construct. It's a belief. It's a belief rather than knowledge, right? And that's a huge difference. And we see in the Dhamma today, everyone has beliefs, they have views, strong views, and they argue so much. But, you know, I always emphasize you have to do the work, you have to travel the path and take the journey to have this experience yourself, and then you will know. There's no more faith then. It's just confidence, because you know for yourself. You know and see reality as it is. And the result is letting go. Thank you, Buddha.
Sadhu,
So it's a wonderful journey. Please enjoy it, and just, you know, it's to be experienced each for ourselves, and just take the views as they're helpful to you. Always go back to the Buddha. And the piece of advice that I've always used is, what you do is the things that give rise to good mind states, and you don't do the things that give rise to bad, agitated mind states. And you just continue along the way, and it just goes deeper and deeper. Put in the work, right effort, constantly doing it, and you go deeper and deeper and verify all of these things from experience. So take on what people say, but hold it lightly. Like, you know, hold it lightly and see if it works, and just use it if it's beneficial, and make sure, because ultimately you have to verify it for yourself.
Great. So if anyone else have more questions, then just please don't hesitate and please ask.
Well, you're all very polite. Yes, I thought you might be grilling me with all kinds of really difficult things or personal things or whatever you like. But you're so reserved.
Yeah, they already have good training.
Thank you. It's me again. I had actually different question, but now I have actually more important to me. So it's going about the light. Because I heard from Ajahns that we shouldn't share an information which is not known to everyone. Sometimes during the what is the point? Sometimes during the meditation, my meditation long time ago, I saw a beautiful. I didn't see it. It just came. It was from nowhere. Kind of light. It was very warm, beautiful feeling to have it. Unbelievable now. So, but then I went to my one of the best friends, and I shared with her the information. And since then, I cannot feel it anymore. I don't know. Did I made a mistake or something? Would you help me, please?
No. Yes, absolutely. It's not a mistake. It's a very common thing. And this is talked about in the suttas as well, because wanting to get that same beautiful feeling again is a craving for a pleasant feeling. And when you can't achieve it again, then you have suffering, and you can see it right now because you want it and you can't get it and you're suffering. It's so hard to let go of wanting that pleasant feeling, but you have to let go of that pleasant feeling and then it may come back. So sometimes I think of these things as butterflies. Okay, you're just there, you're sitting there and you're like saying this is a safe space for the butterfly to land, but the butterfly may land or may not land. And that doesn't matter. You're just giving it a safe space to land if it wants to. And it may come back, it may not. I find, have I ever had exactly the same experience? No, they're always a bit different. So when you're in it, just enjoy it. Don't grasp onto it. Just let it be. And, just make your mind like a willing receptacle. And there's so many adventures. There's so many variations. It's infinite. It's infinite. So there's infinite types of lights. There's infinite wonderful experiences, and just go with the flow. So just when the mind is in an unagitated, peaceful state, it has the potential for all of these things to arise, but the desire for them actually chases it away, right? So you just have to really just relax and be the receptacle.
So this is not the reason because I told her about it.
No.
It's not the, no. Oh, great. This is the main tick because I thought maybe I did something wrong, and that's why.
No.
And there were tears coming on my face when I feel the beautiful feeling. Sometimes when I get the feeling that you probably know better than me, tears. I'm usually a very emotional person, and the tears come on my face. So I'm not sure is it a proper good or not, but I cannot stop this feeling.
Don't worry, it's dependently arisen, right? It's not you or yours. You can't control it. It's dependently arisen. And I'll tell you what, I get tears a lot as well. And what you're describing, you can use this feeling, right? Because when you're remembering the feeling, remember the joy, remember the feeling. And that, you know how we did the dhammacārinī, right? To give an uplift to the mind. All you have to do is remember the beautiful state that you were in, but without craving. Just use your memory to remember what it was like and have gratitude. And just sometimes you can put yourself in the same emotional state, even though you're not having the whole experience. So I have this memory that I use to help me relax sometimes. And I'd gone on a holiday to Vanuatu, and it was a beautiful thing. So I was in this tropical lagoon, no tourists, just, really out in the middle of nowhere, deep, and perfect temperature. The air was beautiful, the water, the smell of all the tropical plants. And I was walking through it for hours. And because you're this deep in the water, you feel like you're floating. And anyway, it was just paradise. It was utter paradise. And all I have to do is remember that, and I can give rise to the same feeling of peace and happiness and joy. So I put my mind back to remember it, and it gives rise to these joyful feelings. And you use that then to have your mind in a joyful, uplifted state. So when you've had an experience like that and you have access to that emotional state, use it to uplift yourself and to give yourself pleasure. So that's attending to it in the right way. The wrong way is to attend to it thinking, I don't have it anymore. It's lost, and having the craving, that gives rise to suffering. But if you attend to it in the right way, it gives rise to pleasant feeling, right? So you're very lucky. You have a bit of treasure
Thank you very much.
that you can use whenever you want.
I thought this may be lack of equanimity. That's why I'm asking for, because but it's not the lack of equanimity, because sometimes my mind is upside down. If it's too much up, it can be too much down then. And that's what I was thinking about. Maybe if I'm too much emotional during the meditation, maybe then, I don't know what's going to be happening. Maybe this is the lack of equanimity, balance. There is no balance, but if it's not, thank you very much. I'm very appreciative for your answer. It was absolutely amazing answer. That's what I'm very happy. It will change my life again, as everything in Dhamma. Thanks you, thanks Peter and many Ajahns. I'm even
Good
happy
on you.
to see you. Thank you, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I'll just also add that equanimity is a very high bar. And so the first jhanas, right, you have joy, you have rapture, right, you have bliss. None of those are equanimity. So they're already, the jhanas. So to aim for equanimity, I don't know whether that's realistic in your meditation. Okay, so don't think that you should be having equanimity in the beginning stages. You're trying to foster joy.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Good luck. Enjoy it.
Bye. Thank you. Sadhu.
Okay, thank you for great questions and for kind words. So we still got 18 minutes. So if anyone wants to ask anything, then please don't feel shy.
Oh, please unmute.
I feel very blessed, Viveka. I'm here with you. Thank you.
Oh, not at all. My pleasure. It's so nice to share the Dhamma.
My question is about memory. I struggle with memory. I've been sick because of stress for many years and depression. And I have really big troubles to remember things. And I even locked myself in a closet because I didn't want to be between people for a long time, because I was not sure if I could make a question, or be able to answer a question.
Yes, yes.
From the last 4 years, it's much more better. It's actually going very well. It's very slowly. The way I enter the world. Actually, I thought it's going very slowly, but now when I was a few decades in this condition, and now actually I am able to talk to you, so it's kind of amazing. But maybe you can suggest something. I could practice.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really difficult for that kind of stuff. But I feel for you because I've actually had a very hard medical history myself, and I've been extremely ill. And one of the results of that was that I also had no memory for about 2 years. And learning to deal when you can't rely on your memory is really hard. And I found also, because I had people around me that would use my lack of memory to try and tell me that I'd said this or done this, or that this was wrong or that was wrong. And not having memory, you can't protect yourself. You know, you become very vulnerable to everything. And there is a way to get past it, and it's virtue, right? So sila. So if you don't need memory to act from sila, because that's always in the present. So whatever interaction you have with anybody, if it comes from sila, you don't have to worry. It doesn't matter what anybody says or what happens or anything else, because it's from sila, and you have confidence and no regret and no fear, right? So this is the great protection. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Thank you. This is actually what I felt. And actually, I fall in love with this. And
yes.
And this is the way where I could start to accept what is coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So with this, like, my memory has returned. But, you know, it's like in my family, there's been Alzheimer's, you know. Yes. And I'm no longer afraid of Alzheimer's, right? Because I think all you need is sila, you know, and that's okay. You can live a good life, you know, that memory actually isn't that important, right? And we know karma is made in the moment, right? So it's just about how you act in the moment. And if sila is, you become, right, all your intentions then come from sila, your karma is also good. So there's really nothing to be afraid of.
It's so good to hear these words, because for many years, for decades, I refused myself to be a Buddhist, to even say I can be a Buddhist because of the situation. Yes, I was just ashamed. So I refused many things, and so thank you. It's wonderful.
Have fun. Yes, reclaim your life and feel confident, and sila is the best protection. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.
Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So next question, please.
I read recently that in your area that was some fires. Are you safe?
Oh, yes.
Now?
Yes. Yes, there were fires, and I was on evacuation alert, and living here is quite an adventure.
Okay, great. Great to hear. I even ask Peter if he knows something about your situation, but he said that he thinks that everything is okay. So
yes, thank you very much. Thank you. And I think, Paula, you had your hand up again.
I remember for the first time I started to meditate, it was, I think like 30 years ago. And I had this experience when I felt for the first time really happy. And we were meditating in a group because it was at school. And I felt like, for the first time, I think, what is non-duality? And I forgot about this experience, and I was ashamed that time to laugh, but I could not stop myself. It was a very nice experience. And can you tell me what was it?
No, I can't tell you what it was, but I can tell you that laughter is a wonderful response, because it's when you feel free and light.
Yes.
And that relief that you feel. And sometimes when you see the silliness of all the burden,
yes,
when you've stepped out of the burden and it's just like, oh my God, whippy, yippee.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I can't believe that I was in this horrible burden, holding on to it for no reason, and you just let it go. It's like, you know, the myth of Sisyphus. I think that's a Greek myth. The guy who was condemned to put the boulder up the mountain. Yep. And imagine if you're Sisyphus and you just say, nah, and you throw the boulder over the edge. And then Sisyphus would also be jumping up and down laughing. So that's a wonderful experience. The details, I'm not really into the details that much, but what it shows is that you let go of the burden and you experienced what it was like not to be burdened. And that's the aim. That's the aim of the practice. So whatever you can do that leads in that direction is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could all just throw off the boulder just like that? Our silly minds, they keep us trapped into holding on to all of these boulders and holding on to the burdens. That's the tragedy of samsara. That's the first noble truth.
Yes. All right. So anyone else? We have like theoretically 8 minutes, but we can end earlier. So how do you feel, Viveka?
Last chance. Last chance.
Last chance. So anyone?
Well, I think that's fine then. It's been very nice catching up with you all. Thank you for spending your Saturday night together and with inviting me. And it's a pleasure to share the Dhamma with you. And I wish you all the absolute very best in your practice. May you be happy. May you be free.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Viveka. I think this was absolutely amazing session. Great questions also from you all, everyone. So thank you for the questions. Thank you, Viveka, for the answers. And yeah, there's more to come.
Very good. Okay.
When is the next? When is the next meeting with you, Viveka? I can't wait. It was amazing.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we have planned.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. And then Viveka is going to go for a retreat, so there will be a long break. That's why we are doing 2 this month, because usually, probably, I think it will be 1 month. We haven't discussed it yet, but so you have 2 meetings in this month. So please look up on my site. But it's 2 weeks, exactly the same time and day. So 25 of January, Saturday for us. It's actually Sunday for Viveka. Time travel. And so, yeah. And also I can say that the next day after that, on the Sunday, Polish time, we have another meeting with Bhante Sunyo. So you can come there as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. And see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.